This is your USMNT Abroad weekend update from April 1st to April 3rd of 2022. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Tactical Manager TV, and welcome to another USMNT Abroad episode where every Monday we update you on how the Yanks did abroad over the weekend, and every Friday we update you on how the Yanks did abroad over the midweek. And yes, there is an episode this Friday because we do have Champions League during the midweek. So today's episode is an episode with many updates over the weekend, but most of them are injury updates because a lot of players weren't available due to injury, and some players didn't play because of jet lag. But there's a lot to talk about. With that said, on Wednesday, we will be having a full bracket World Cup prediction video. This is a massive one, a big one, and you don't want to miss out. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out, and hit the notification bell. Yes, that matters. And don't forget to smash that like button before we start this video. And yes, you might be wondering, why am I wearing a Canadian men's national team jersey? Well, this one's from 1986. It's the last time Canada made it to a World Cup. I wasn't even born back then. So I thought it would be nice to make a little tribute for our neighbors of the North. All right? That said, everyone, let's play the intro and let's start the episode. But yeah, before I start this episode, I definitely have to change because I don't want to wear this for more than necessary. United States retro jersey. Much better than the Canadian one, if you ask me. So let's start now with Christian Pulisic from Chelsea. On Saturday, Pulisic was not with Chelsea as he was rested for two reasons. One, he played a lot of minutes with the US men's national team and traveling was quite a bit, plus the time zone adjustment, etc. Now, the other reason is they do play Real Madrid midweek for the UEFA Champions League quarterfinals, and y'all remember the last time they faced Real Madrid, he got a goal, an assist, and helped Chelsea reach the Champions League final, which they would go on to defeat Manchester City and lift up the trophy. Now, one story of this game that has nothing to do with Americans abroad, but it can't be ignored, is Christian Eriksen. I know he returned a few weeks back, but he once again played. He started for Brentford in this match. And you know, you just can't ignore his return to soccer after that scary collapse and heart issue he had back in the Euro 2020 that was played in 2021. He is back playing for Brentford. He scored against Chelsea during the Brentford 4-1 win for this match over the weekend. He even played for Denmark in this international break and he scored twice. It's very nice to see him come back from what could have been a tragedy. And yes, Brentford did defeat Chelsea 4-1 over the weekend, as I said, for the first time since 1939. So happy for Christian Eriksen, and also kind of happy that Christian Pulisic didn't participate from this 4-1 loss. Now a quick update on Weston McKennie. He's still recovering from the broken foot injury, but apparently he's recovering a lot faster than normal, and he should still be back this season. He should be able to get 3 to 4 games by the end of the season. If he does that, which means he'll be playing in May, he could be available for the U.S. men's national team in Nations League in June because Coach Greg Berhalter has said that he plans on bringing a full-strength squad for Nations League to prepare for the World Cup. So if Weston's healthy, I could only assume he will be there in June. Next up is Giovanni Reyna from Borussia Dortmund and Tyler Adams from RB Leipzig as Dortmund and Leipzig faced each other over the weekend. On Saturday, Reyna and Adams would go on to face each other, as I said, because Dortmund and Leipzig clashed. Now for this one, Tyler did not make the bench for Leipzig as he was being rested post-US men's national team camp due to a knee knock he suffered against Costa Rica. So it was more precaution from a knee injury. As for Reyna, he started off on the bench and came in at the 74th minute for Dortmund. The game ended 4-1 for Leipzig. When Reyna came in, Leipzig already had a 3-0 lead. For the limited amount of minutes that Reyna played, he was mostly on the right wing where he would tuck in quite a bit, but, you know, playing as a winger, not much to add there. As for Serginho Dest, he was in with Barcelona over the weekend. We do know he's injured. That's why he missed the U.S. men's national team camp. When he will return, it's unclear. I'm assuming it's one point this month. That's what I'm assuming. But there were no updates, so I got nothing for you now. Hopefully I have something to update you on Friday. So before we move on in the video and do the players by position, goalkeeper, fullbacks, center backs, etc., let me quickly talk about Jesse Marsch, the coach of Leeds United. On Saturday, Leeds United got a 1-1 draw with Southampton. And again, Jesse Marsch got hired this season with one goal only, which is to escape relegation. Right now, they are in a pretty comfortable situation where they would likely be safe as long as they get at least 4 points in the 7 match remaining. So 4 points in 7 matches, that means they need to win 1 and draw 1 in 7 games. That's not hard. From there, he can build off for the next season. And the Brendan Aronson rumors to Leeds United have been heating up more and more, so that is a transfer that could happen over the summer as reinforcements for Leeds United, that they will likely lose Calvin Phillips and Rafinha over the summer transfer window. Okay, time to go by positions, and we'll start the goalkeepers. So Zach Steffen stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Manchester City as expected. But now let's talk about Ethan Horvath from Nottingham Forest. On Saturday, Horvath stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Nottingham Forest during their 4-1 win over Blackpool. This is not good. I do want to believe that he was being rested due to the trip and time zone. The game was on Saturday also, but that does not seem like the case. He did not play for the United States. Other players this weekend also traveled, played, like Giovanni Reina that we talked about, and they were perfectly fine. And even the time zone from England to the US is closer than the US to Germany. But it does seem like the 10 days that he was sitting on the bench for the United States, Samba was probably doing well in training for Nottingham Forest and got an opportunity this match, which he did well. So I'm afraid that Ethan Horvath might have lost his position, his starting position in Nottingham Forest, due to being with the US men's national team and not even playing, to be quite frank. So they do have a game on Wednesday. We're going to keep an eye on that. If he does not start that game on Wednesday, that means he likely lost the starting job, and that is a major disappointment and even problem for the US men's national team, because Turner's injured. He's going to be on the bench in Arsenal. Zach Steffen is shaky and on the bench in Manchester City. We needed Horvath to be playing, but seems like that's not going to happen as well. But let's remain optimistic. Let's wait for the game on Wednesday. We'll have the full update on that on Friday's episode of US Men's National Team Abroad. Time to move forward in the video. Now let's go to the center backs, and we'll start with John Brooks from Wolfsburg, and then we'll talk about Kevin Paredes from Wolfsburg. Actually, Kevin Paredes stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes. I'm just going to spoil that right away and not talk about it again. But we're also going to talk about Ricardo Pepi, because Wolfsburg and Augsburg faced each other over the weekend. On Sunday, John Brooks started and went the full 90 minutes for Wolfsburg, while Kevin Paredes, as I said, he stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Wolfsburg once again. For the same match, Ricardo Pepi started and played 89 minutes for Augsburg. In this match, Augsburg defeated Wolfsburg 3-0. So one thing to be said right away was Ricardo Pepi and John Brooks were matched up against each other for most of the game, as Pepi was playing as a right winger that was playing a bit tucked in, while John Brooks was playing as a left center back in the back three. Pepi did not play as a center forward for most of this match. Now, during their matchup, John Brooks did win almost all the 50-50 balls against Ricardo Pepi in the air and on the ground. Pepi also did miss a great opportunity right at the last minute of the first half. It was a great save from the goalkeeper, to be fair, but you do have to bury those if you're a true center forward or a goal scorer, which that is what Ricardo Pepi is. We know he's capable of scoring these goals. With that said, Pepi did very well off the ball and the work rate was great. So I think when you add everything up, it was not a bad performance. It was pretty normal. Plus, again, the time zone, traveling, so struggling is understandable. After all, he is human and this is not a video game. We do also have to point out that Augsburg's third goal was created, or at least Pepi played a role with a very nice layoff to lead to the goal. So he didn't get the assist, but I think we could call it maybe a hockey assist. Now, towards the end of the game, Ricardo Pepi did play as a true center forward for a very few amount of minutes, maybe 10 minutes max. And as I said, Augsburg ended up winning 3-0, a win that Augsburg needed much more than Wolfsburg, which now both teams are roughly 2 wins away from being completely clear from relegation, with 6 games to be played for Wolfsburg and 7 to be played for Augsburg. In terms of stats, for this match, Ricardo Pepi had 27 touches, 66% passing accuracy, won 1 out of 3 ground duels, won only 2 out of 7 aerial duels, most of them with John Brooks. He had 1 shot on target, 1 shot blocked, and 1 big chance missed. Now, as for John Brooks, he had 57 touches, 69.8% passing accuracy, won 6 out of 8 ground duels, won 5 out of 7 aerial duels. He had 1 clearance, 1 block shot, 2 interceptions, and 4 tackles. Next up is Chris Richards and Justin Che from Hoffenheim. On Saturday, Richards and Justin Che start off on the bench for Hoffenheim during their 2-1 loss to Bochum. Now, Justin Che stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes, and he was also returning from a trip from Argentina, as he was with the US Men's National Team U20 squad for some friendlies prepping for the summer qualifiers for the Olympics and World Cup qualifying of the U20 level. Now, Chris Richards came in at halftime, and he is finally back from injury. And as someone that returned from injury, Richards looked perfectly fine. It's good that he was back at halftime, and I would expect him to start the next match for Hoffenheim. It's good to have Chris Richards back playing. Next up is Eric Palmer-Brown from Tra. On Sunday, Palmer-Brown started off on the bench and came in at the 30th minute of the match due to Rami getting injured. Palmer-Brown was then subbed off with a yellow card at the 83rd minute, and it was a tactical change as they did bring in a forward for him. That same forward, Ripart, would then go on to score their game-winning goal at the 93rd minute from their 1-0 win over Rams. A massive win to put them in a semi-comfortable situation towards escaping relegation, sitting now 5 points clear with 8 games to be played. Now, Matt Miazga stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Deportivo Alavés. No jet lag right there, no injury. He's just straight up bench for Deportivo Alavés and has been for a while. Next up is Mark McKenzie from Genk in Belgium. On Sunday, McKenzie started and went the full 90 minutes for Genk during their 5-0 win over Eupen in Belgium. Last but not least, on the center back position, Cameron Carter-Vickers from Celtic. And since they faced Rangers over the weekend, we're going to talk about James Sands as well, and you could consider technically James Sands a center back as well. On Sunday, CCV started and went the full 90 minutes along with scoring the game-winning goal for Celtic during their 2-1 win over their rivals, Rangers. Now, James Sands stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Rangers in this match. The Old Firm Derby is one of the biggest soccer derbies in the world, so Cameron Carter-Vickers scoring the goal that got Celtic the win was massive. Not just that, he also helped increase the gap between Celtic and Rangers on the table to 6 points. If Rangers had won this match, they would have been tied in points. Now, there is one round left in the Scottish Premiership, but Celtic are not the champs yet because there is a championship round to be played among the top 6 clubs. However, they do carry this advantage forward, so this was a massive win. For this match, CCV had 8 clearances, 3 interceptions, scored a goal, won the 1 ground duel he had, won 7 out of 9 aerial duels. He had 54 touches, 79.5% passing accuracy, and got a yellow card. A big game for Cameron Carter-Vickers once again. He has completely outgrown the English Championship and Scottish Premiership at this point in his career. The next challenge has to be the English Premier League. So it'll be interesting if he gets a decent side transfer this summer. If he does, will Greg finally bring him in for the US men's national team or use the excuse that he doesn't know the system, form? I mean, the guy has been absolutely lights out all season in the Scottish Premiership, which overall it might be a league very similar to MLS. It's almost as if he was the best center back in MLS, and that would definitely get him a call-up. Do you agree with me on that? Let me know in the comment section down below. I personally think that would be the case. Hopefully, he gets an opportunity in Nations League, and if he continues to have this impressive run, it's definitely a name that could pop up in our World Cup roster, if healthy, of course, and continues to bring on this form. Now let's go with the fullbacks, and let's start with Anthony Robinson and Tim Ream from Fulham. On Saturday, Tim Ream started and went the full 90 minutes for Fulham during their 2-0 win over QPR. Now, Jedi Robinson was rested and did not join the team for this match, and I mean, it makes sense. He did play all the matches for the US men's national team, plus traveling, and what makes even more sense is that Fulham is pretty much in the Premier League at this point, so they would rest him. They are 12 points ahead of the first team out of the direct qualification zone, which is essentially top 2. Next fullback is Reggie Cannon from Boa Vista in Portugal. On Saturday, Reggie Cannon stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Boa Vista during their 2-1 win over Famalicão in Liga NOS. Now let's talk about Brian Reynolds from Kortrijk. On Saturday, Reynolds started and went the full 90 minutes for Kortrijk during their 3-2 loss to Michelin. And apparently in this game, he played as a left back. I wasn't able to watch it, so I didn't get the confirmation yet. I will look into it more and update you all in the next episode this Friday. Next up is Joe Scally from Borussia Mönchengladbach. On Sunday, Joe Scally started off on the bench and came in at the 87th minute for Gladbach during their 1-1 draw in Bundesliga. Now, there's not much to talk about here. He played roughly 3 to 5 minutes in this match. So George Bello was not with Arminia Bielefeld over the weekend, and I understand he didn't really play for the US men's national team at all. However, time zone, traveling, all these things affect people in different ways. So maybe he wasn't well rested or ready to play. So it makes total sense. As I said, that happened to many Americans over the weekend. Some played, some did not. Now let's talk about the last fullback that I want to mention in this video, which is Jonathan Gomez from Real Sociedad B. On Saturday, Jonathan Gomez started and went the full 90 minutes for Real Sociedad B during their 4-2 loss to Alcorcón. Now, I was not able to watch this match, but based off reports and stats alone, you know, a classic Twitter tactician analysis, it looks like he didn't have a very good performance. It looked like it was a poor performance. So, in terms of stats, he lost the 2 ground duels he had throughout the match. He only had 17 touches in 90 minutes, so he was barely involved. Besides that, the stat sheet was pretty empty. But again, I did not watch this game to give a well-informed opinion. All I can do is give you my Twitter tactician analysis. Time to go to the midfielders, and let's start with Yunus Musa from Valencia. On Sunday, Yunus Musa stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes during Valencia's 0-0 draw with Cádiz. Again, it's reasonable that he got rested, right? We've talked about this, the traveling and time zones. But one thing that caught my attention throughout many U.S. men's national team camps is I'm starting to question Yunus Musa's stamina in the games, right? It seems like he's not capable of finishing a game very strong, and he gasses out very easily. He's super talented and fantastic player. I can't even argue that. I need him. We need him in the national team. I'm just saying that stamina seems to have been a problem for Yunus Musa throughout the qualifiers, and maybe with Valencia as well, right? I mean, nothing to do with this game because it had traveling, but just something I noticed throughout the camp. Now, Alan Sonora from Independiente at Argentina. On Friday, Alan Sonora started and played 78 minutes for Independiente during their 1-0 win over Barracas Central in the Argentine League. Next up are the Venezia boys, Tanner Tessman and Gianluca Busio. On Saturday, Busio and Tanner Tessman stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Venezia during their 1-0 loss to Spezia. This was a very bad win for Venezia, and it's starting to look more and more likely that they will get relegated this season, unfortunately. But who knows? It might even be good for Busio and Tessman, as they might play a key role and hopefully get promotion next season. But again, it's not said and done. They can still escape relegation. It's just looking very likely that they will get relegated. So Brendan Aronson did not play for RB Salzburg over the weekend, as he's still recovering from the knee injury, the MCL injury he had prior to the U.S. men's national team camp. He's expected to return by the end of April. Next up on the list is Julian Green and Tim Tillman from Fürth in Bundesliga. On Saturday, Tim Tillman started and went the full 90 minutes for Fürth, while Julian Green started off on the bench and came in at the 66th minute for Fürth as they faced Eintracht Frankfurt. The match ended 0-0. Next up is Luca De La Torre from Heracles. On Sunday, Luca De La Torre started and went the full 90 minutes for Heracles during their 2-0 win over Fortuna Sittard. For this match, De La Torre had 58 touches, 88.4% passing accuracy, 1 key pass, and he also won 7 out of 11 ground duels. Now, staying at the Eredivisie, the Dutch league where De La Torre plays, let's talk about Cole Bassett from Feyenoord. On Saturday, Cole Bassett started off on the bench and pretty much kind of stayed there, as he only came in at the 93rd minute for Feyenoord during their 2-1 win over Willem. The last midfield we're going to talk about in this video is Dwight Holmes from Huddersfield in the Championship, but we still got more to talk about. We still have all the forwards. So let's talk about now Dwight Holmes. On Saturday, Holmes started and played 58 minutes for Huddersfield during their 1-0 win over Hull City. And, you know, Huddersfield is fighting for a spot in the English Premier League. Okay, we're reaching the final section of the video. We're going to start now with the forwards. All right, don't forget to smash that like button if you haven't already. Let's start talking about Timothy Weah from Lille. On Saturday, Weah was not with Lille. Jet lag? Being rested? Not sure. Probably one or the other because of the CONCACAF trip. However, Jonathan David was available and even played off the bench for this match. So, nonetheless to say, that's not something that worries me very much. Weah should be available and should get some minutes on the next match for Lille. However, Weah is a player that needs a transfer, in my opinion. Not necessarily to a better club, but a club where he arrives to be a lock-in starter. It's not always the bigger move that is the right move, in my opinion. Where to go? I don't know. But I just think that he would benefit from getting a transfer to a club where he comes in with the position being his to lose. Next up is Conrad De La Fuente from Olympique Marseille. And Conrad was not with Marseille over the weekend. Look, whatever he did that pissed off Sampaoli, it worked. His minutes tanked, and sometimes he doesn't even make the bench. I was always for Conrad being in the national team, but until he figures that out, he has no business with the United States men's national team. Next up on the list is Matthew Hoppy from Mallorca. On Saturday, Hoppy stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Mallorca during their 1-0 loss to Getafe. Mallorca are now in the relegation zone of La Liga, so Hoppy forced an exit from Schalke in Bundesliga 2 to sit on the bench all season long at Mallorca and end up at La Liga 2. So if there are any kids watching this video aspiring to become professional soccer players, I have one advice. Pick your agents wisely. Now Daryl Dike from West Brom, and man, a lot of the updates this weekend weren't really performance updates, and DK's is not a performance update as well. Daryl Dike had a setback. Originally, he had a muscle injury. Now it seems like it could be a tendon. This kind of reminds me of the Gio Reyna injury back in September, where we were told it was just a muscle injury. It became a tendon or nerve damage. There are even rumors circulating that Daryl Dike could be done for the season, which would be very unfortunate and terrible, considering he just had the move for West Brom and played roughly 1 game or 2 games max. Next up is Nicolas Johansson from Montpellier in Ligue 1. On Sunday, Johansson started off on the bench and came in at the 83rd minute for Montpellier during their 2-1 loss to Brest in Ligue 1, aka the French League. Now, Josh Sargent from Norwich, a player that never, ever gets injured, right? On Saturday, Josh Sargent was not available due to an ankle injury. He was even seen wearing a boot. How long will he be out for? It's not clear. There's no updates on that. So even the indestructible Josh Sargent got injured. Do you all remember the last time Sargent got injured? I don't. He usually never does. Now Chris Mueller from Hibernian. On Saturday, Mueller started and went the full 90 minutes, got a yellow card for Hibernian during their 1-1 draw with Dundee United. Next up is Jordan Pefok. On Sunday, Pefok started and went the full 90 minutes for BSC Young Boys during their 2-2 draw with Basel. So despite traveling, he did go the full 90 minutes. Obviously, his minutes were low to none with the US men's national team, but it's good to see him get a full 90 despite all the traveling throughout North and Central America. Now, Christian Ramirez from Aberdeen in Scotland. On Saturday, Ramirez started and went the full 90 minutes for Aberdeen during their 2-2 draw with Dundee in the Scottish Premiership. Now, I can't say Dundee without reminding myself of the Dundee Awards from The Office, which is why I have a hard time believing the Scottish Premiership is even real. So, if you're Scottish, that was a joke, all right? I'm not trying to piss you off or get canceled here. It's just a joke, even though it's a little bit of a serious joke because I'm wondering why there's so many Dundees in one league. Last but not least, Fullerton Balogun from Middlesbrough in the English Championship, the American English Dual National. On Saturday, Balogun started and played 69 minutes, nice, for Middlesbrough during their 4-0 win over Peterborough. Now, Balogun did score one of Middlesbrough's 4 goals. Balogun has 3 goals and 2 assists in 13 championship matches played, all since January, since it's when he got the loan from Arsenal to the English 2nd Division. Alright everyone, that does it for this episode of US Men's National Team Abroad. We will have another one on Friday and obviously next Monday until the season ends. And don't forget that on Wednesday we will do a full World Cup bracket prediction. Expect many World Cup videos throughout the year until we reach the World Cup. We'll be doing a special one for Iran, one for England, and when we find out the 3rd team that we're going to face, we'll do one for there as well. It could be Wales, could be Ukraine, could be Scotland. I want to thank you all very much for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button before you go if you made it this far in the video. Thank you for watching and have a great day.